everybody. Welcome to MangaPod. I'm Erin.
I'm Dodger.
And I'm Moeka.
And we are a weekly podcast in which we get together after we've read all or part of a manga and we discuss it with friendship, loves, and lots of spoilers. This week, we are talking Blue Lock, chapters 1 through 22. If you guys have never joined us before, what we like to do is give you a short spoiler-free description of the manga that we read, as well as our spoiler-free recommendations. That way, if it sounds like something you're interested in, you can take your leave once we get to spoiler section and then come back and watch and listen to this later. We ask that anybody in chat who's watching this, please do not post any spoilers for anything until we get to the spoiler section. And once excuse me. Once we get to that was the longest I have talked without a pause in a very long time. And then my body messed it up.
You're crushing it. Keep going.
And we ask that once we get to spoiler section that you don't post any spoilers for anything past chapter 22. We are currently, chapter 22 for you, if you don't know, is at the end of volume 3. And we are about halfway through the first selection arc, is the arc we are currently in. So if you have read the manga, you know what that means, and you know not to post the spoilers. Pretty please. Yeah. Oh man, I am so excited.
Me too. I'm really excited to talk about this one.
Talk about this. Do we have any warnings?
Oh shoot, I didn't even think about doing warnings. I
don't think we do.
I don't feel like there's any. Yeah. You know, it's a sports manga with a bunch of aggro boys in it. So they get aggro with each other sometimes.
I would say swearing.
Yes, there's a lot of swearing, and there's some like kind of
that
small time violence.
Dude. Yeah, that one angry dude is always like, "I'm gonna K-word you." It's just like, whoa, bro.
Yeah.
They drop a lot of F-bombs throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they were allowed liberty with this dialogue.
Yes. Cool. Yeah. Should we summary? Are you reading the summary, Erin, or do you want one of us to do it?
I'll tackle it.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. After reflecting on the current state of Japanese soccer, the Japanese Football Association decides to hire the enigmatic and eccentric coach Jinpachi Ego to achieve their dream of winning the World Cup. Believing that Japan has lacked an egotistic striker hungry for goals, Jinpachi initiates the Blue Lock, a prison-like facility where 300 talented strikers from high schools all over Japan are isolated and pitted against each other. The sole survivor of Blue Lock will earn the right to become the national team striker, and those who are defeated shall be banned from joining the team forever. Selected to join the risky project is Yuichi Isagi, a striker who failed to bring his high school soccer team to the national tournament. After choosing to pass to a team... no. Stopping. No, I'm not playing.
Okay, yeah.
Using the golden opportunity given by the Blue Lock Project, Yuichi aims to clear his doubts and chase his ultimate desire, to become the greatest striker in the world and lead Japan to World Cup glory.
Yee.
God, just reading that stresses me out. Spoiler-free recommendations. Would anybody like to go first?
Yeah, I can go. So, I was recommended this manga by another streamer friend of ours named Tectone. He was like, it's great, I love it. And when I went to look at it, I was like, I don't know. But I highly recommend it. I think it's really good. I've been pitching it as sports manga Squid Game. I think that it's kind of like I'm trying to think of the right words for it, but the framework of what this is and how it progresses is very different from any sports manga I've read before. So I think that's great because there's so much sports manga out there, and the characters are great to boot. So I would definitely recommend it. I love it.
Oh, Micah, you can go.
Oh, dang, sorry. I was just gonna say, yeah, I think this one, in terms of sports manga, I think is very interesting how it delves a little bit more into the psychological aspect of what makes up sports. So I find it really interesting. So I definitely think it's like a recommend from me, just because you don't often see what this manga does exactly. It's a weird mixture, but it works.
Yeah, I agree. I went into this expecting another sports manga, and sports manga are my favorite kind of manga. And I was very surprised about what we got and so excited at the same time. Because something I do love about sports manga is they follow the same themes and usually the same story beats. But what makes this one interesting is that it follows those story beats while also having this heavy like horror feel to it. Like Dodger said, very Squid Game, but also things like Prison School, where it's just like irked out a little bit. There's no sexual stuff like Prison School, but I had kind of the same vibe, like feeling while I was reading this.
Or sometimes you're like purposefully unsettled.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Which is not something you go into a sports manga expecting. And it works really, really well. And we're only 22 chapters in, and the characters have been so stellar so far already. Yeah. And I have so many ships. It was so easy. It's so easy. It knew what it was doing. Another thing sports manga is very aware of is all the ships. It knew. It is doing it. But yeah, I highly recommend it. I think it's awesome, not just from a sports manga perspective, but from a kind of like a horror manga perspective, and just an awesome twist on a very well-known genre. So I recommend it. 100%. Cool. You guys have anything else you would like to touch on before we jump into spoiler section?
I don't think so. I don't know if we've mentioned it yet, but there is an anime for this that's going to be coming out. So
it looks so good.
Yeah, so if this sounds interesting to you, but you're like, but I don't really read manga, maybe wait around for the anime. But yeah.
Cool. There is a trailer out for the anime if you want to go and look at it after the show. Obviously.
Yeah, not now.
Unless you don't want to be spoiled by this. Then I guess I understand. Cool. Spoiler countdown.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ego is God.
He is 100% the god of this world, and he's not necessarily a good one.
No, not at
trash, man.
I knew you were going to love him.
Moeka's favorite right here.
We see a weird, eccentric garbage man, and we're like, Moeka's gonna love this guy. Yes. What were you guys expecting? We kind of talked about it a little bit before we swapped to spoiler section, but
not this.
Not this.
It was just right from the get-go. Like, you get the feeling. So right away, if you guys are hanging out and haven't read it, main boy Isagi, it starts out where he loses his high school championship, and of course he's
sorry. I was gonna say which is a classic. That is a classic sports manga thing where the main character is like, I came from a school that never won anything, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, keep going.
Yes. And we actually just read that with Ace of Diamond, has that in it, too. Where, they're like very talented, but can't make it happen at the start. And we also meet his rival, which starts also a very stereotypical thing to start out with, where he meets his rival, who's the best in Japan. And then they get invited to Blue Lock, this tournament of 300 soccer players. And you go in and you're like, all right, cool, this is training camp. That's different. They do training camp early on. That's kind of different because usually that happens after the first, arc of them losing. And no, right away, you're like, oh, they can't leave. Oh, they are literally going to lose everything that they care about if they do not win.
Yep.
And they really drive that in immediately with having the best player in Japan knocked out within the first
that
chapter.
Really surprised me, actually. They did a good job of like letting you see that character just long enough where you're like, maybe he is just like a nice guy who just wants to like do the right thing and stuff. They let that go on for just long enough that when he got knocked out and absolutely lost his shit, it was like, oh, fuck. He's gone. He's out. He's like done now. That was so quick.
He can never do it. He's never going to make it on the national team. He's the best in Japan, and he's never going to make it. And it just drives home, like, we always say that injuries in sports manga are actually, like, a character death. Like, they're death in a different like, manga are sports injuries in a sports manga. Mm-hmm. This is literally, like, death immediately if you lose. And the stakes are just so high, and I didn't expect the stakes to be so high. And they don't actually die. It just feels like that. Their dreams do.
Yeah.
Their dreams die.
It's like, you know, they establish pretty well that all of these characters desperately want to play soccer. Like, they want that to be their life, you know? Mm-hmm. So to be told, if you get knocked out of this, you can never join the national team. Never. You're barred from ever joining. Yeah. So yeah, when they get knocked out, you're like, well, that's the career that they wanted. That's done. You know, it's not that they can't ever play again, but like if they wanted to reach for that, there's a block now.
Yes. Sorry, I kind of like derailed us from what were you expecting.
That's okay.
But did you guys have anything else you would like to add on for what you were expecting?
I mean, beyond, like, I was not expecting it to be Squid Game. No. No.
Yeah. I did not expect a little battle royale in my sports manga.
Yeah. Yes. Battle Royale was another one I thought of.
Yeah.
Cool. So the story so far has been, we read, like I mentioned earlier, one arc, which was like the intro, and then halfway through the first selection arc. So the selection arc is where they divide all the players, the 300 players, into different teams. And they are performing a round robin match where two teams from each section go against each other and try to survive, and the remaining three teams are expelled. So they also, even if your team loses, there's a chance for, if you score the most goals, to stay in blue lock as well. So that really comes into play in terms of your team. Not like you have to trust your team, while also there is doubt within the team of this person could betray me.
That's the whole thing, right? That's why we're comparing it to things like Squid Game and Battle Royale, because it's like you can work with people, but at the same time, you know, everybody's out for themselves. So there is that mental aspect to it, not only of, you know, how mentally draining it is to completely devote yourself to a sport, but also like this weird mental game that they're all playing with one another of like whether or not they can even trust each other. It's wild. Also, sorry.
No, go.
I was going to say, also, you guys know I'm that bitch. The second that they started being like, the main character, he's a little fucked up, I was like, hell yeah, he is. Let's go.
Oh my god, I was so excited that he was fucked up.
Dude.
Because usually the main characters in sports manga are very, like, righteous.
Good
Not
boys.
in a bad way.
Yeah.
They're such good boys. They just strive to win, to show other players what it truly means to work as a team. That's like the heart and soul of sports manga, is what it means to work as a team. And playing soccer is a team sport. Like, you can't win it by yourself. And instead, we're seeing a series that is literally built on, you need to find a way to win this by yourself while also winning as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a very interesting dynamic to see play out within the teams. And our main characters are in Team Z. So they're like the last team in the lineup.
The bottom team. Yeah, the moment when they beat that first team and he looked down at that guy crying and was like, "This feels good." I was like, "Oh, dude." Hi, baby.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh my god. And then he can like smell. He's like, this person smells like a goal. It's like, yes, give me more of this. It's just, I love having a protagonist that is very morally gray. I just love that. It's so fun. Yeah, you're fine. And so it's really easy for me because Kuroko is my like favorite manga of all time, favorite sports manga. And to compare like Kuroko to Usagi is just, they're not comparable, but I love them both so much for like the same way of like, I love you as a character. You're so interesting. And I also like that Isagi knows what he's doing. Like, he's a player. It's not his first time playing. He is talented, because otherwise he would not have been scouted. So even if his team had lost and it was his fault for missing that goal in the very beginning, he still is painted as being talented. So it's believable that he's there and that he is successful at what he's trying to do in a lot of times.
Just
Do you have any
unfortunate
thoughts?
for him. Oh, I was just gonna say, it's just unfortunate for him. There's 299 other people that are even just as talented.
I know.
Thought wise. Wait, I blanked. What part are we on?
I was just I do it all the time. I was just talking about Isagi in general as our main.
Oh, as a like protag.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was just like, I don't want to like accidentally go too far into the discussion.
Oh no, you're fine.
Yeah, as a protagonist, I think he's very. I don't know like how to quite format my like ideas on this manga. Just because I feel like there are some controversial things in this in terms of like sports or like soccer, football, whatever. But yeah, as a protagonist, I do like Isagi because I feel like anybody who's ever played sports can kind of understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I do think it's interesting how. I mean, this manga focuses on ego so much, so it's interesting to getting a like protagonistic cast where we delve into that because most sports manga don't really go into that aside from like if it's like a rival school class or something. It's like, oh yeah, their coach or whatever, or like this character from that group is like such an asshole. He's such an egotist.
Yeah.
But it's interesting getting to see it for a protagonist.
Yes.
All my other sports manga pro tags, they're such like good boys.
Yeah, they are.
They're such cinnamon rolls.
and even if they're not, like they're just like aggressively good.
Yes.
Know?
So we have Isagi, but he is like one of a team of characters that we get, and we're slowly learning more and more about. And this is kind of like jumping ahead, but this was something I could also say surprised me. The fucking betrayal.
Yeah.
Was it Mikage? Rio? Was that who it was that betrayed him?
I think so.
I think so. Oh my god, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe someone else saw that coming and I was just dense, but I did not. I genuinely did not expect him to team up with the twins.
I got psyched out by that because I had inklings because my Moeka radar was going off, and I was just like, oh my god, something about this guy just fucking does it. But but then yeah, we got the little section where he got like the weird smile, and so I was just like, oh, is he gonna be a bad guy? But then I was just like, no, surely they're gonna psych us out and be like, ha ha ha, I tricked you, dumbasses. Really, I'm with my new team. I would never betray them. So
yes.
so when it was like full on betrayal, I was like, oh my god, you little shit.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all because like they had positioned him as such a like, come on, team, let's band together, you know, like it was interesting for that character to wind up being the one who was like, psych bitch.
Yes.
But it made for such an incredible moment for the other guy with the torn ACL to just absolutely pop off. That was one of the most hype moments in this reading for sure. I was so excited.
Yes, agree. I was gonna add that too. Chikiri, I think is who it was.
Yeah.
Dude, the build up for that, I like almost cried by how epic it was. I was like, this is insane. Cause that like, we'll talk more about this when we get to the art, but the art is phenomenal in this series, and that chapter really showcased it, as well as the way the mangaka utilized the storytelling by using the art and the imagery that they showed. And it was just absolutely wild. And we have the character who's injured, and I'm glad that they kind of brought him in really early too. And he was like mysterious, and then you realize that he has a really good reason for like keeping it to himself.
Yeah.
And then the way they revealed it, I thought was also very well done. Those were just that match, and that was the match with the twins. I thought that match was probably the standout one and was probably my favorite.
Yeah, for sure. It had the most like interesting story beats in it.
Mm-hmm. Dude, those twins. Those freaky twins.
Bro, they both had crocodiles on them. I couldn't.
Oh my god.
I couldn't handle it. One of them had crocodile eyebrows. I was like, stop this.
Yeah, one had like a Daruma face.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was funny.
It was definitely, it reminded me of Yawamushi Pedal, with what's his name? Mm-hmm. Just like, the big teeth and terrifying face, just being like, oh my god, you're here. And it works, because all the character designs are very interesting, and so it works really well. Like, it made sense to have those looking characters. They didn't feel like, okay, you stand out an incredible amount. They just, like, I don't know. I thought they fit with the rest of the character designs, too. They kind of melted in with the horror, unsettling aspect of it.
I got really psyched out because in Team Z, there are 2 Bakugos.
Oh my god, yes.
There's one character that like kind of looks like Bakugo and 100% has his personality, and then there's another character who just straight up looks like Bakugo but is actually a super nice dude. And it was wigging me out so hard.
It wigged me out too, but Kunigami, oh my god, dude, I love him. I think he's my favorite. Cry.
Yeah. He's good.
Good boy.
I love the part where they like gave their schedule and like how they sleep and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I really loved that.
What
were you gonna say, Dodger?
Oh, I was gonna say I'm waiting for, like, currently the kid who's like grown up as a monk. He's currently just kind of like the butt of all the jokes, and I would love for him to. I don't think that we've necessarily earned it yet, but I want him to like show some growth.
Yes. Yeah, we're slowly learning more and more about Team Z, and I really like all of them so far.
What's the name of Dribble Boy? What's Dribble Weirdo's name?
Maguru Bachira.
I fucking love that dude.
God, I love him so much.
So fun.
Yeah.
He's so eccentric and weird, and I'm like, I adore you.
Yeah.
I want to keep you forever.
He's like, he's on, it's not the same character type, but he's on the same tree as L.
Yes.
Yeah. You're right.
His smile is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Can I say, since we're talking about Team Z, so I went on Archive of Our Own to look. I do this when I get. Like,
we've only read 22 chapters. Don't spoil yourself.
I can't even really be mad at you for it because I probably did the same fucking thing.
Guys, don't spoil yourselves. No self-control in this group.
Listen to me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
I love to see what the top ships are after I'm reading one, even if I'm not super far along. I like to see what's like, I sort by hits to see what the biggest. And the amount of Isagi X everyone Kinsey orgy.
Oh my god, it's My Hero Academia all over again. Holy shit, that's really funny.
I was just like, oh, was not expecting this, but I am so excited now.
Yeah, that surprises me.
Yeah, I was surprised too. Otherwise, it's Isagi and Maguru Bachira are another good one.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So, just so you know.
Yeah, that is good to know. Yeah,
that was a piece of information important to bring to this table.
For anybody watching who wasn't here when I first dove into My Hero Academia fanfic, I was like, man, there's a lot of fics that are just Deku and literally everyone else. So I just had flashbacks, that's all.
It's so like, wow, everybody does love him.
Everybody, you know? Sometimes you're like, the main character, they got chemistry. With who? With everybody.
Sometimes it's main character and no one.
Sometimes.
And all the side shit.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the main character can just go on an adventure all by themselves and all the side characters deserve love. So, it just depends, you know?
Depends. I'm trying to think. We did end on chapter 2 ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger. With being introduced to the other team.
Team Y?
Team Y, I think it is.
They're the undefeated Team Y.
Yes. The sleepy guy who gets a piggyback ride, dude in glasses who I already had loved.
Wait, me too.
He's like so acting so smart, even does the pushing up the glasses with the middle bit.
But he's actually a dum-dum.
Yeah, he actually is just a himbo.
I adore it. That was such a good bait and switch.
Yes. I'm glad they didn't drag it on either. It was just like an immediate aha, actually.
Yeah.
So we've got
them
them
fucking stupid. that was my reaction. I was just like, yeah, I like this.
I think if correct me if I'm wrong. I think even if Team Y, I if when Team Y loses this, they'll still stick around. I don't think that they have to win this fight because I think the top two stay, right?
Yeah.
So if Team Z wins this, then it'll be them and Team Y, right? So
Yeah.
I'm ready for there to be effort into getting us more invested in the Team Y team and the characters there. I'm expecting that in the future.
Yeah. I think because they're allowed one draw, I think it is. And Team Z has already had their draw. And so I'm looking forward to seeing if like Team Y loses to Team Z, that they get to do a rematch later, too. Like you said. Gosh, I'm just so excited for this. I'm so hype.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do think, again, I do think that some of like the ideas in this are a bit like, I don't know if that's quite what I believe.
Ooh, I want to hear more about that.
I don't know. I do think like the idea that striker is the most important position in soccer to me is like, I don't know if that's true. I do think as like if you're I don't know, I'm like I do think if you're like hardcore soccer fan, there will be some like off-putting things about this because I feel like that'll be like the number one of like, I don't know if striker really is like what everyone. I don't know if that's like, oh, the striker is what's gonna win everything on for a team.
Sure.
I think the idea of ego also like I personally I'm like, I don't think that's what makes an amazing player.
Oh, for sure.
I do think that like people like top tier players like have certain like funny characteristics, but I don't think it's necessarily it all stems from ego. So I do think it's interesting that this manga decides to like start with that, and I guess that's why I'm kind of invested in like keeping up with it and like continuing to read it because I'm like, I wonder like how this concludes because I'm like, I think what we read touched on it where it's just like, I don't know if this like, I don't know if what he's saying is all true. Like, what the fuck is going on?
No, I completely agree. And I think that is going to be an element of this as it progresses is like it I'm trying to think of what's that movie about the drummer? Shoot. It reminds
me like a college one.
Whiplash. Thank you, chat. It reminds me of media like Whiplash, where it's like this person wants to be the best. Are they willing to be manipulated and enter into like this really toxic mindset in order to get it? And I think that is going to be a big element of this because they're being pitted against each other and like betraying each other and stuff. I'm also very curious to see whether or not that mindset gets challenged as they go forward. Because again, as much as I love that the main character's like, yeah, I'm a piece of shit, actually deep down, I'm just a little stinky boy, right? I would love for this mindset, this sort of like toxic world that they're going to be kind of stuck in Blue Lock. I would love for that to get challenged a bit.
I do. Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing if like everyone will get featured at some point a little bit more as striker, because it's pretty much like, oh, main protagonist is the striker because that's who the series is about, right? So I am curious if we get to see some of the other characters more in the striker position, because right now it feels like it's really like the protagonist is the one that's primarily going to be the striker in this, and I'm just like, that's cool, but I would like to see this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, as someone who knows very, very little about soccer and football, I still had fun watching the players play.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like lost or that I needed to know every single position and every single detail about how a soccer game runneth. I did like that, like, them playing the goalie, they were like, I don't know what to do. I guess I'm here, though. And so I love that it showcased how when you're trying to be a striker, you're very focused on that position. And that you aren't necessarily, like, haven't focused on being other positions within it. And so them all being strikers made it so I don't really have to learn any other terms for any other players.
That's true.
But I do hope that, like you guys were talking about, like bringing in challenges to whether the striker is the most important person on the field.
Yeah, because I feel like in real soccer, I feel like striker is like a very, like, I guess it would be like the flashier one, or it's easier to be a flashier player. So I could see why people would like strikers, but yeah, to be like striker is what will make it or break this whole entire team, it's just kind of like, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
It is, at the end of the day, it is a team game, and as even your own manga has stated, like, you can't, like, if you're missing one or two players, you are like severely at a disadvantage.
Yeah. Because oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I just want to say I'm just really curious if we'll get to explore a little bit more outside of the striker position, and if it is going to challenge at some point that whole, like, striker is the number one thing. That's why we started this, right? And if it be maybe it being like, maybe we can expand this program a little bit differently to like fully round out a whole entire team for all these other positions as well, or whatever. But yeah, I do think the way that they're going about it is really interesting, because again, you don't really see this type of, like, progression in other, like, sports manga exactly. So things like ramp up a little bit differently in this one.
Yeah, the formatting of the story is really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
But you saying that, though, I do agree that I think partly is because there are a lot of characters, so focusing on one position at the start would make it really easy for just about anyone who's into sports manga in general to get into it without being like, oh, now I gotta freaking do my research and, like, look up A, B, Z, Y.
Yeah. Oh, someone in chat, but the point of the manga is that they're doing the Blue Lock program to make the striker the ultimate player. That makes sense. Yeah. Can I also say that we keep talking about ego and how this, like Moeka said, this stems from ego. The fact that the, like, creepy, like, head dude's name is Ego,
Yeah.
I'm like, what a clever thing. What a clever naming system, mangaka.
Well done.
Well done. Let's talk about art. What were your guys' feelings on the art?
I adore the art. I think it's really good.
I think the art is probably the strongest part about this manga.
Mm-hmm.
It's very well done.
Yes. I think the art stands out a lot. I think if I had to compare it to another type of art style, I would probably compare it to Haikyuu. Just in terms of the expressions and the character designs, especially, and the way that the movements of the plays are done. I think Haikyuu is a very good comparison for another, if you have read Haikyuu and that art style, not necessarily like the eyes and the character designs are exactly the same, just the, what's the word? I'm trying to think of the word for like movement of a still picture, but I can't think of
like
what
the flow or like
flow. Like, you know how like One Punch Man, you can just visualize how it's happening.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh, I can't think of the term right now.
there's a
I do
term
know what
for
you're
it.
talking about.
Yeah. So, I absolutely love the art style, even if the story was like lagging a little bit, which I don't think it is. I think the art would just make me want to keep reading it. It's just awesome. Dynamic. That might not be the exact word I was looking for. That's a good,
but it works.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that like the character designs are all really good. For the most part, I don't think any of the characters like look the same. There were a couple of characters at the very start where I was like, wait, are they the same person? And realized really quickly they weren't. But yeah, generally, I think the art is really strong in this, and it's easy to tell what's going on.
Moeka, do you have any art feels? I know you kind of already.
Yeah, I do think the art is probably the strongest. I do. I like how even the smaller little details are drawn really, really well, which is like a really small thing, but I'm just like, props to this mangaka for putting like 110% into this art, because I'm just like, this was not needed. You did not have to detail this football.
You didn't have to go so hard.
Yeah.
You not need to go like this. I'm looking at the mangaka to see. Okay, so it's done by, there's separate writer and artist. And I don't recognize any of the writer's previous manga. And it looks like this is only the This is only so Yusuke Nomura is the name of the artist, and this is one of two manga that they've done. And the first one was in 2014. And so that is incredible that this is what their art looks like. Mm-hmm. And they haven't done. So I'm very interested to know what their history is. I'd be interested in researching their history a little bit more.
Yeah, I was going to say some of his character designs remind me of Tite Kubo's stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, that's it's like really neat to see like how much influence some of the older mangaka just like have in general for like a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree. I can see Bleach vibes in this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Also, somebody in chat said they disagreed. They thought the manga needs to have the art to be stellar, which the art is, but I don't think they need to like go all out on a ball. It's pretty clear cut. Oh, that is a soccer ball. The amount of details they put into like the sock of a character, or like little things like a soccer ball. Very simple things. It's just like, you do not need to like hyper detail a bajillion little lines in the main, like the little like the little black section, like the patch on the ball for
Sure.
soccer, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, I don't need to see, like, okay, it's a black little, like shape. I don't need to see, like, finer details that are very, very minuscule, like, positionally far away from it, if that makes sense. The seams, yes. Oh my god, thank you.
Seams.
We're not complaining. She's just saying it's above and beyond.
Yeah, she's clarifying. Most beautiful sock you've ever seen.
Yeah, love it.
Listen, they have some good ankles.
Oh my god, they do. The art is phenomenal. Like I said, that is definitely the strongest part of this manga.
Mm-hmm. It is. Cool. Do you guys have any other thoughts and feelings? Otherwise, we can do our vibes. Vibe check, number rating if you prefer.
Yeah. Let's vibe check.
If you haven't listened, I vibe with this manga so hard. I love this manga. When I was reading it, something we didn't add is that it is a very quick read. Yeah. But I also enjoyed reading it a little slower than I might have just because I loved what was happening and was so hyped while I was reading it that I also went back and reread like a chapter every now and then. I love the characters. I love the art. I love the framework of the story and the pacing. I vibe with it real hard and I absolutely love it. And I feel like I'm about to be in a rabbit hole very quickly. I'm already like there. I'm just dangling by my like little paws.
Right.
I'm about to fall. I vibe.
Yeah, I vibed with this really well too. I also typically it doesn't take much for me to really enjoy a sports manga, but this one has like a very different approach to it, and like we were saying earlier, I am really hoping that this, like Moeka was talking about, that the sort of like mindset that the characters are in, I hope that isn't stagnant for the whole thing. I think it'll be even more interesting to me if that gets challenged quite a bit along the road. So I'm excited to read more and see where it goes. But for what we read so far, I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I definitely vibed with this. I guess the first week that we were like, we're gonna read this, I don't know what it was, but I couldn't get into it at first. So I think the extra time we took into reading it really helped me, because I don't know what it was, where I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna restart. And then I did, and I got really into it. I was like, oh my god, what's going on? But yeah, I really liked it. I think getting to explore more psychologically, like the ego side of characters, is really interesting, because you don't really see it done too often. Because especially in Japanese media, it is very like, if you're not a part of the pack, like, we're gonna freaking like hammer you down. Why are you acting up like that? So yeah, it's really fun to getting to see that happen in this. Yeah, I'm really excited to see where all these characters grow and how they change. But yeah, like you said, I'm a little concerned, because I get the whole point of this is like they are trying to get the number one striker, right? But I am interested to see how they keep it from stagnating, just constantly being like striker, right? Yeah. Or if it's going to be like some of these characters learn like, like, yeah, I really liked being a striker, but maybe like now that I've done this program, like it would be fun to see myself excel in this other position potentially, you know.
Yeah.
and like what happens when Blue Lock is over, too.
Yeah.
God, they're all gonna get knocked out one by one.
That's
no!
That's the thing. Yeah,
they're all gonna die.
That's what I'm saying. They're all gonna die. Like, that's what I mean, right? Is like they're all gunning for this thing, but all but one of them is gonna have like a super harsh reality check, and it's gonna be different for everyone, like depending on what their goals are and their personality and everything. So I think that's going to wind up being really interesting, and I think it's going to get really cutthroat the further in we get.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really curious about that.
I was gonna say, I can't remember his name. No, I'll save it for later.
Okay.
Oh, do you guys think should I read the description for what we're reading next week, or have we said it already?
I might have spoiled it while I was streaming.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I don't care. Let's just we're gonna save you.
We'll just give everybody a
Yeah, we are gonna actually, instead of doing what we usually do where we read and y'all get to guess, we're actually just gonna say that we love this so much and are excited that we're gonna read it next week too. So next week
on Monday.
On Monday, we'll be reading chapter 23 through 45, which is the end of this arc, and into halfway through the second elimination arc. So,
oh my god.
So that is what we're gonna be reading. Sorry, that is really funny.
So funny. No. For audio listeners, somebody asked, do you remember what happens when they get knocked out? And Dodger said, yes, they die. And then put a kappa after.
I'm sorry. I'm just trolling in chat.
I love it.
Erin, I didn't mean to disrupt your train of thought.
No, you're totally fine. I was just trying to, after you said that, I was trying to send that little Discord pain.
Oh,
image,
but it's Twitch,
I forgot
not
I'm
Discord.
in Twitch. I'm not on Discord.
I try to do. There's an emote on Discord called Play Dead. I try to put that in Twitch chat all the time, and it's not a Twitch emote.
Does not work.
So yeah.
Oh my god, I love it. Cool. Let's go around and shout out our stuff super quick. I'm Erin of Happily Erin. My name on the splash screen is now spelled correctly. It was not the last month or so, but it is now. You can find me on YouTube with previous MangaPods and on Twitter and Instagram where I'm much more active. I also wrote a book. I also have read a book, but I wrote a book. If you'd like to check that out, it's called The Guardian, and it's an LGBTQ young adult dragon novel. So.
Yeah. It's very good. Go read it.
Aww.
Yeah. I'm Dodger. You can find me at Dex Bonus on pretty much everything. I stream almost every day. I drink coffee. I play games. It's a good time. Come hang out.
Yeah. I also stream. I do a variety of things. So if you want to watch some more like VTuber stuff, follow me at Moeka. Or if you'd like ASMR, follow me at Space VTuber. Yeah, a good old fun time.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for listening in and hanging out with us. Next week, like I said, we're going to be reading Blue Lock, chapters 23 through 45. If you liked our discussion of chapters 1 through 22, we hope that you come and join us for next week's as well. So, thank you so much. Yay!
Yarp yarp. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.